Bro, they got honey bun
All
ice
right.
cream.
This Rubik's Combat spreadsheets. I got Pharaoh, Prince, and I got Malky with me.
Bro,
Just
Prince,
want
I
to go
like
over a couple topics and boxing. Not a lot of news for MMA other than Francis Ngannou winning the pretty much all the rankings stayed the same because uh he was already champion and the guy he beat didn't get knocked out or washed, so it's no need for him to drop down. But first topic I wanted to talk about because this is a topic we already spoke about a little bit. Andre vacated his belt to become the mandatory for the Charlo Canelo winner. And like I said before, you cannot if you're a title holder, you cannot become the mandatory for another champion. That's already stated in the rules for all sanctioning bodies. Um, so how do you feel about that? I'm gonna start with you, Prince. That you cannot challenge another champion and become the mandatory. It has to be a voluntary defense in order to fight another champion. How do you feel about that, Prince?
Um,
Can you hear me? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I can hear you. Malky, where you at?
I'm here, bro.
Go ahead and comment on that.
He asked you.
I think he was asking both of us.
All right,
No,
you
I
go
want you
first.
to go first, Prince. Or
Oh,
whoever want
sorry.
to go
Okay.
first.
Okay. What I feel about him basically vacating the belt.
Yeah, in order to become the mandatory for the Charlo Canelo winner.
I think that you got to do what you got to do. It's unfortunate that you got to do that, man. It's very unfortunate. First of all, I ain't know Demetrius Andre had a belt. What belt he got?
WBO, right?
That's the one, and that's
WBO.
at 160. Okay, I still think he's at 154. Um, I think that's unfortunate that he should still be able to be champion and still be a mandatory. I guess some will say, well, you're the champ, you're not a mandatory, but I guess mandatory for that organization. Yeah, he shouldn't have done that because to be honest with you, he still ain't gonna get the Canelo or Charlo fight. So
I,
I hope he don't think that was like a strategic move. Like it's just Demetrius Andrade is just one of those people in boxing that's just too good for his own bridges, man. Like he needs to he needs to try to step out and become a star. And by doing that, unfortunately, you got to take to social media. You got to start trolling and shit, man, so people can want to watch you because people ain't scared of Demetrius Andrade. I think they just realize that, bro, why would I fight you? And it's not worth it. Low risk, high reward type of a fight. So Canelo whoops his ass though. I don't even know. I don't want to see Canelo fight him. I'd
all
rather
right,
see
you go
Canelo
ahead,
fight
Malky.
fight the fucking McAfee.
Um, I don't think Demetrius Andre should have vacated. Well, then again, I'll say this: I think Canelo, um, he's gonna probably take a 2 fight deal with the Zone because the Zone and PBC offered him a fight. By him and Demetrius Andre having that basically viral spat where Canelo just went ham, um, that might draw some attention. People respect Demetrius Andre is a top level master boxer. Um, on the other hand, I think Demetrius Andre vacating his belt to be placed as the winner is insane. This is a guy who didn't even sound like he was about to fight a fight at middleweight. Like it sounded like he was going to cruiserweight. And based on the options, it was Charlo or Benavidez. Demetrius Andre name haven't really been attached to Canelo since 154, and we talking around the era of Floyd for them. I don't think this was smart at all. Now the only leverage that Demetrius Andre had always had was at least I'm a champion. Aside from that, they want him out the game like Gary Russell. So no, this wasn't a good idea.
All right. I wanted to speak on it because I believe, like Prince said, they still not gonna fight you.
They not.
uh,
That's why it's stupid.
yeah. He pretty much vacated his battle lower weight class going up. this is already a fight for undisputed because at 168 Canelo holds every belt. So if Canelo wins, he's just gonna go up to 175, like you said. But if Charlo ends up winning, Charlo's probably going to either go up to 175 or just vacate one of the belts and not pay the sanctioning fee for whatever belt it becomes mandatory for, which would usually be WBO because WBO is real big on if you move up in weight as a WBO super champ, then you get an automatic title shot at the higher weight class. So I think like it was pointless to me. I feel like Demetrius Andrade should have just kept fighting at 160, try and take another belt and just waited for Jermell. Because if Jermell ends up becoming undisputed, I don't see him staying at 154 much longer, no more than two more fights. So I was thinking he should just be waiting for Jermell instead of trying to chase Canelo. Like I know Canelo's the bag, but it's just like he's clearly not interested in fighting you at all. So I feel like he should just waited for Jamil, try and become undisputed, make his own legacy, bro. Stop chasing dudes, make your own legacy.
Right,
Now
right. Because he's
speaking on
making a history of just chasing people. That's all. That's all you know. Demetrius Andre is for is just chasing the relevant fighters, and it's like, bro, you're a multiple world champion. Like you that desperate? Make your own shit,
yeah,
bro. Like you can definitely
Well,
make
it's
your own
easy to
shit.
be desperate when he's not even getting. It ain't even like he getting fights with like
Well, I
the
mean,
prospect.
unfortunately though, bro, that's just the cards that's dealt to him. You got to make the best of it. Cause if that was to happen to me, I would just make the best of it. Like I would literally take to social media, do this,
I think he made the best of it.
start to like troll. I mean, I see he's trying to troll now, but he just sound weird being from fucking wherever he's from, Rhode
he
Island,
sound like you.
and his fucking voice just sound weird. It's
Agreed.
like,
He sound
this
just like Prince.
no, he don't sound like me.
He does.
He don't fucking sound like me.
He does.
Um, Mikey, who you sound like?
Nobody.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You sound like somebody. Nah, but Demetrius Andre, honestly, like that's. I mean, honestly, that's really up to him. He need to try to promote himself to become. You got the record, you got the accolades. Like, bruh, just start doing some shit to get people to notice you and really want to watch your fights. Because to be honest with you, nobody really want to watch your
It
fights.
doesn't matter. He can't do nothing, bro. Like it's like the Gary Russell spot.
No,
Sometimes
he can do something, bruh. He can do
no, he
something.
can't because he's talked, he's flexed, he's went to Canelo. If people just genuinely don't care about you, you can't
Nah, but
fix
that's
that.
different. You can make them care about you. Take to social media. All right. Start doing this
He's
shit.
done that.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't really done it to
Yeah.
effect, bruh. Like take to
I
I've
social
seen
seen
media.
him.
videos where
I've
he's
seen
literally
him do
calling
it.
him a
I'm
bitch and
watching him.
everything.
Like he's saying everything you want to hear. It's just people genuinely don't care. That's like Gary Russell was as
We live in
disrespectful as you could be. Gary Russell pulled up on people, fathers, son. No one cared, and even this laws, no one cared. Like once you get to a point where they just like, all right, bro, we don't care. Like Demetrius Andre is trying, bro. Like I don't see how personality wise he's any different than Thurman. Like they both kind of come off probably corny to some people, both elite. The only difference is Thurman is just he got the opportunities and Andre didn't. Like and nobody cared that he didn't. It's unfortunate, man.
I mean, like Andre, to be fair though, like what opportunities? Because people, even though he is champion, and people are saying that, oh well, he's just not getting a chance. I get it where these guys don't want to fight him, or he's not even getting a chance to fight. But if you fighting Brian Rose and who's the other niggas that he just fought, it's
Brian
like,
Rose was a
bruh,
good fight at that particular
no,
time.
but yeah, at that particular time. But I'm saying that like the dudes he's fighting now is like, no, you don't deserve a shot. But then the catch 22 is just like, to be honest with you, it's just
But
like,
you
all right,
said
well,
make the best of
how
it,
can
right?
he? Well, how can he fight these guys if they're not even gonna give him a shot? So yeah, he's in the best. I mean, he's in a sucky situation. I just say make the best of it from the standpoint as, bro, take Go online and start really trolling, bruh. Start really like doing shit to make people really want to like watch you. Go
He
fucking
did.
go to Canelo and fucking slap a pie, slap him in the face with a pie. All right, that shit definitely gonna get you some buzz.
That stuff gonna get that man blackballed.
Yeah, I think
That
that's
ain't gonna
doing a
get
little
him no
bit too much.
blackballed, bro. That's
I
gonna
think
get
it
him.
He
will.
already black. He already blackballed.
That's not gonna get him blackballed. That's you take if you take matters into your own hands and you start to really do this like certain type of things that's gonna get noticed on social media, bro. People are gonna look at that and be like, man, I don't care what nobody say, Canelo. I want to see you and this dude. He just hit you in the face with a pie. Like, bruh. I mean, obviously, it don't got to be something ridiculous like that. But if he was the just pulling up on Canelo and trying to talk English with him, you know, Canelo don't fucking speak English. Go do
He
something.
do
Go
speak
take
English. He got
he
y'all fooled.
he barely speaking English. So Canelo like
That nigga
Demetrius
know all the
Andre need
cuss
a
words.
the Demetrius Demetrius Andre need to go and buy some Canelo merch and go in front of Canelo and burn it right in front of him and do some shit like that, rip it up. Like do something that's gonna make people be like, bro, that's disrespectful. And Canelo need to knock your ass out for that. Cause that's honestly how you gonna get it. But to be honest with you, why even happened with him and Charlo? Wasn't they like beefing? Oh, then wait, Demetrius Andre ain't that one of ain't he the one that slapped one of the Charlos?
No, that was Jared Hurd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shit. It wouldn't have helped him if he slapped Charlo.
Yeah, that didn't help him at all. What that mean, Prince? Like,
Well, only thing is, to be fair, he been losing.
yeah,
So
nobody cares to see that. But Demetrius Andre slapped Charlo, bruh,
I
yeah,
yeah, that
still watch Jared Hurd versus Charlo. We never got to see it.
yeah. Hmm.
so I mean he's in a bad spot, but I mean it's just honestly he's trying to chase the bag. Maybe you don't need a Canelo fight right now. You
Yeah,
don't
that
need
he
a
don't need a Canelo fight. Like I think he's earned it from the perspective
I
of
don't think he earned it. Who did he fight to earn it?
he was linked to remember Canelo Alvarez. Demetrius Andre was relevant before Charlo was relevant. When Floyd fought Canelo and when Canelo was fighting Lara and all of those guys, Demetrius Andre definitely was the fight people want. Remember, a lot of people thought Vandes Marder Rosen beat Charlo. Demetrius Andre made it clear cut to where you can't even make a debate who won. He won 10 out of 12. You could argue Charlo lost or a draw or he barely escaped. That was a pretty good win at that time. Willie
Yeah,
Nelson,
but
Willie Nelson knocked out Tony
what
Harris and
what hurt Demetrius Andre is just his style. Now I ain't gonna lie. That Willie Nelson was one of the best performances I've watched. Like we talk about perfect performances. He looked absolutely perfect and brilliant in that fight. Then he sealed the deal with a 12th round knockout. So that was a good performance. But he have wishy-washy performances. He have a spectacular performance and then fight a guy
but
from freaking Ireland.
Lara never had a good performance.
But Lara still got knockouts. That's the thing. He still got knockouts to
Demetrius
the
Andre had a
he
high
got
knockout ratio at that time.
no, but he has that stigma for being a born fighter. I mean shit, so do Lara, but at least
Lara wasn't even big
Lara
before he fought
Lara
Canelo.
Lara had I tell you what, Demetrius Andre fight Lara.
He already called him out.
Lara not gonna fight Demetrius Andre.
Now I tell you this.
I think that's
Lara
going backwards for Demetrius Andre at this point, not Lara. Maybe
he
back
would need
then.
to fight like Lara is not relevant. So if anything,
Yeah.
Demetrius Andre should pick and choose. Like, bro, I give you a chance if I fight Lara. Like, he should be the one to say yay or nay against Lara, not Lara. Lara should be trying to itch to
Yeah.
fight him.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. But at the time, Lara was chasing championships. So I don't really feel like either one of them
So
ducked
yeah,
each other.
so I can't. So he really did vacate his belt. That's actually very stupid because he could have had leverage to fight a Lara or one of these named guys now because you got the belt. Now you don't got the belt, so it's like, bro, why would I even fight you? Who are you? You've been in
If
boxing
I
that
was
long,
him,
and
bro,
people don't
he
know who
should
you
have
are.
grabbed another belt and try to fight Triple G. Triple G's hasn't fought in like a year or two.
That's
Over a
who
year.
he should chase instead of chasing Canelo. Canelo, you ain't on his radar.
Triple
At
G's
least
not
chase
fighting. Triple G not fighting Demetrius Andre.
but
Yeah,
he
but if
would
he
rather
got two of the
he got a
belts,
better chance of fighting Triple G than fighting Demetrius than fighting Canelo.
yeah. Plus, ain't Triple G on his own?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Triple G ain't fighting. He looking to retire, so they probably would have paid Triple G out. Yeah, so I want to go on the next topic. Next topic, I want to go on Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. I looked it up. The fight is supposed to happen in Madison Square Garden in New York. So, what do you
Wow,
guys think of that?
that fight is really happening, man.
Easily the
That's a big fight in women's boxing. I mean, one would say who really cares about women's boxing.
Uh,
I
But
can see.
but that's a big fight. That's a really big fight.
for
Two good
undisputed.
fighters. Yeah, two good fighters. Amanda Serrano is probably she's the highest paid woman boxer. She's probably the face of the boxing. I mean, no disrespect to Clarissa
Didn't Jake
Shields.
Paul
Clarissa
pay
Shields is
somebody
the
though?
girl.
I thought Jake Paul paid somebody. Now she's the highest paid.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
It's
what I'm
Katie
talking about.
Taylor. No. Jake Paul is paying Katie Taylor.
What do you
So
mean
I'm
he's
pretty
paying
sure
Katie
Jake,
Taylor?
he's promoting. He
Katie
promotes.
Taylor. I think she's the
No,
highest paid now.
Jake Paul is a promoter now.
yeah, he
Or
promotes
Katie
Amanda
Taylor.
Serrano.
Oh, he promotes Amanda Serrano. I thought he was promoting Katie
So
Taylor.
Eddie
paying.
Hearn.
So
Eddie Hearn got.
he's gonna pay Katie Taylor to get this fight off.
Yeah,
Jake
Yeah, this
Paul
fight is.
making moves, bro. I rock with Jake Paul. This young and making
He getting
moves.
yeah. I
fighters
rock
paid.
with him
Now
too.
this the highest purse by a female fighter ever.
What's the purse?
She's getting over $1 million.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
about to look up the purse.
she was getting over $1 million before, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't.
Not per
No
fight.
female
Amanda
fighter.
Serrano, Amanda Serrano did get $1 million in her last fight.
Yeah, because that was her first fight with Jake Paul.
Oh, so she's getting
Now she's technically breaking her own records at this point. But it's still the biggest purse. This is the biggest female fight of all times. Actually, this is
I
bigger
ain't gonna
than
lie, Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul would be a pretty good promoter.
I like him because he promotes fighters
Promotion.
getting paid,
Yeah.
which I love
Yeah.
to see fighters get paid.
Only problem I have with this fight, I feel like they should did this in the UK. I feel like it'd have been way bigger in the UK than in America. I know she's Puerto Rican, but I feel like Katie Taylor's backing is way bigger than hers. So if
But
they
I
would have
wouldn't
did the
want to
fight
fight
in
her
the
in
UK,
the UK.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to fight. I mean, but shoot,
yeah,
even fighting. Wait. That's actually no. Actually, if fighting in New York is actually probably better. Because Katie Taylor is from Ireland, and the Irish.
yeah.
It's a lot of Irish people in New York and over there in that Boston area and stuff. So they're gonna come to support her, and then there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York that's gonna support. It's gonna be a good fight, bro. Katie Taylor, I don't like. Lately, she hasn't really looked really good. Amanda Serrano has been smoking girls. I mean, I would probably pick Amanda
Don't
Serrano,
she got the
but
most knockouts in female history?
She
um,
got a lot of knockouts.
yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, Katie Taylor can pull it off. She's big and strong, but I got Amanda Serrano. What about you, Monkey?
Yeah, I like Amanda Serrano more. I think she wins, but I'll say this: because Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields go up and down on the pound for pound list, if she beats Amanda Serrano, she has to be number one pound for pound because I don't recall it ever been two female fighters near the top of the pound for pound list fighting each other.
So
Ever.
Clarissa Shields and Christine Hammer. Hammer wasn't known as close to a
Chris,
pound for pound.
I think Hammer was like number 9. I don't think she
yeah,
was.
like she like
I
top
mean, that's
10.
pound for pound. That's top 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
But I mean,
top
I get what
10,
you're saying.
but
I get what you're saying, Malky. You're saying Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor is definitely top 5 or top 3. You know what I'm
Yeah,
Yeah,
saying?
them
like
top
it's
five.
some people you'll find if somebody say I don't think Clarissa Shields is the best female fighter, the other two names they probably saying, if they ain't saying Michaela Meyer, is they more than likely saying Amanda Serrano or Katie Taylor.
So
Is
what
those the
weight
three
is
names.
this? Explain the weight classes to me, because I know Clarissa Shields is over 160, 168. So she's too big for these girls.
Yeah,
Um,
this 147. This is Amanda Serrano's 6 weight class.
okay. So what weight is Michaela Meyer?
She's 135.
So she can move up to 47. See, it's hard for
Hmm.
females to move up though. Like females don't be gaining weight like that. So it's hard for them to really put on weight. Well, shit.
Well,
I
not
know,
Amanda Serrano.
yeah,
Serrano's last fight was actually at 118.
yeah, I know. I remember she fought my girl Heather. What's her name?
Heather
Heather
Hardy.
Hardy.
Heather Hardy. I
She
like
with the
Heather.
MMA too.
I like Heather Hardy, man. I like Heather Hardy.
Yeah, she actually could fight MMA pretty decent.
Yeah, I like Heather Hardy. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I felt like she made that transition better than Clarissa, but
I
she
wouldn't mind
started way earlier.
Heather Hardy.
I feel like women's boxing is dying though. Like in like 5 years, I think female MMA is just they get paid more. That's the only part of MMA that gets paid more than the boxing, like the female MMA. Because we never talk about that. We always talk about like the pay differential for the
Hmm.
UFC and boxing, but for the females, it's separate. It's different because for female MMA fighter, their exposure is so high that they could get sponsorships, as opposed to like female boxers. They don't get a lot of exposure, and then their purses are around the same if they're at the top. So someone like Amanda Nunes might be getting like 200K, and somebody like Clarissa Shields might be getting like 350K. But Clarissa Shields don't have that same exposure as Amanda Nunes, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So me personally, I'm gonna go with Amanda Serrano. Uh, I'm gonna just go by decision. I think she wins it by wide margin. Y'all think
Wow,
wide margin or
You don't think Katie Taylor can Katie Taylor's an Olympian, ain't she?
Yeah, she actually won the
yeah,
gold. She
but
She won a
can.
gold. She's a gold
She can.
medalist, bro.
She
female
can.
Olympics to me is just I ain't gonna lie.
She can.
I ain't
She
gonna
can
lie.
box. It's
It ain't special though. Like I don't see her and be like, wow, like damn, bro. I see why she dominant. Like I don't see her. I don't see it in her skills. I think she just got a good
you
genetic
got.
makeup, and she's disciplined,
You can
and
argue
she's
she
got a good
lost a
team.
fight.
Yeah, I just think
2
she's
fights
good.
actually.
Three There's three keys to success with her. I just believe, like I said, just she's disciplined. She got a good team behind her, and she got good genetics, which is good things. But I don't see her beating Serrano or that. But it's gonna come down to skills, pay the bills, and I
I'm about
think
to make me
Serrano
a
gonna
chicken
edge her
sandwich.
out every round. Serrano's way
Yeah,
more experienced too, so
I agree. What do you guys think about is it fair that women like the women and men rights, but in boxing men have to fight 3 minute rounds and women only have to fight two? Why is it that? What happened to this equal rights shit?
Oh, female
because
fighters are
people don't want to
different.
see the female fights, so I think that should just stay like that.
What do you mean people don't want to see female fights?
People don't want to see it, bruh. It's not heavily
Well, I think if they
ventured
was fighting
for.
3 minutes, it wouldn't be that much action.
Nah,
That
people want it to
Michaela
be over
Mayer,
with.
that Michaela Mayer and Amadouche, bruh,
We
man,
talking about classics and shit like that, bro.
that
We
shit
talking
was
about the average
crazy.
fight. I can name you a non-classic. Marcos Maidana versus Victor Ortiz. Like people love that fight, so they wanted to see it. Like,
That was a
but
really good fight.
exactly, but it ain't no classic.
Yeah, that's that. It's just a really good fight. I do think the word classic aggressively gets thrown around a little too much.
Do you think you could have a classic fight with two non-Hall of Famers? Like, because to
Oh
me,
yeah.
I feel like I know people think like Mickey Ward is a Hall of Famer. I do not consider him like. If you would talk about like in terms of just viewership, yeah. But in terms of like my boxing Hall of, I'm not putting him in no boxing Hall of Fame. But him and Emmanuel Augustus, which I feel like Augustus got robbed. He got robbed. I'll argue with anybody over that.
Against who,
He
Floyd?
got robbed. I feel like that
Nah,
was like a
against
class.
Mickey Ward. Now that's a classic. You don't have to be a Hall of Famer, brother, to have a classic. Like I'm gonna tell you, Mickey Ward, you can argue his skill set not Hall of Fame, but when he got over a lot of Hall of Famers, he's must see TV from the standpoint of if a person want to watch a really good fight, Mickey Ward's gonna be in a good fight, even if he getting cooked. Cause that's like the Zab Judah fight where he got outboxed. That was more of a boxing match opposed to a war, and
But
it
to be
still
honest with
wasn't
you,
boring.
that's what boxing lacks now. I wish boxing was still like that. From a standpoint of you don't have to be winning it like you're known for based on your performances. Mickey Ward used to just be fight with a lot of guts and tenacity. This day and age, Mickey Ward wouldn't get credit. But I mean, back then he got credit because people respected boxing and liked boxing for what it is. You know what I mean? Now people would look at it like, oh, he's gonna lose and stuff. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish boxing was different. Are y'all there?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just listening to you, man.
Oh no, I'm done talking.
So do you, like Prince? So you believe you don't have to be a high caliber fighter to have a classic fight?
No, of course not.
Okay, but I was also going to ask, do you think you can have a slow paced classic
That's
fight?
actually a good question, though. That's actually a good question, Ruger, because I want to explain why. Because one would say when you first asked that question, I immediately thought it was a very stupid question, but then I thought about it and just saying that actually, you know what? That's a good question. I do think you have to be in order for it to be labeled a classic and for like a memorable fight. I do think you need to be a type of a like certain level of status. Like you have to be big
Yeah,
because
because I wanted
because
to say
hold on.
that
I'm gonna name somebody that was a classic. Mike
I
is
know one. I was going to say one.
Erwin Rodriguez versus Mike Seals. Like them youngins was knocking it. It only lasted like 2 rounds, but they was beating the shit out of each other. That fight was probably that's a fight that if somebody don't know boxing, you'd be like, watch this fight, and they're gonna be entertained.
No, I was going
hmm
to say, what about Steve Fulton and Figueroa?
No, that's
Like
not.
they're
That's
not
not.
big.
It's not a
You
classic.
sure? You wouldn't call that a classic.
what
That
fight?
was action packed.
Stephen Fortune and
Figueroa.
Figueroa.
I think that was a classic.
I
That's
don't
what
think
I'm
that was
saying.
a.
I
I
thought it
don't
was
think that was a
personally a
classic.
classic.
That's
Didn't
not.
they
He
break a
didn't like it.
record?
He didn't like it because a lot of like I would say this, a lot of people loved it and a lot of people didn't because the work wasn't the clean.
Go ahead, Marky. Oh, I think he cut out.
Oh, can you? Well, if you can hear me, I
Can
don't
you hear
think
me?
that was.
Oh,
Huh?
go ahead, Marky.
I said, yeah, it's rare you see two world level fighters match each other from an intensity battle. Even if fighters winning a lot of fights, in most fights, it's kind of a separation and it just be that. This was one of those fights to where it wasn't really separation and it was two top guys at their weight. And you don't get those matches often. I feel like it was a classic personally.
You see how you brought up the rankings though? That's what I meant. Like, do you have to be a high caliber fighter in order for it to be a classic? Because
Well,
No,
nobody
you
talks
don't.
about.
Not at all.
no,
But
but you
I was
do, Malky. You do because I can name you other fighters that that probably won't get the credit while having classics. Like to be honest with like that Belichick and uh Zepeda, that's probably going to be looked at as a classic because it was on a big network.
That was a classic. That was the
No,
fight I was thinking
was.
about.
It was. But it's not gonna be looked at. That fight was better than Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns when it comes to action and matching each other's intensity and stuff. But that's not gonna be looked at as the greatest fights of all time. Is the
I give you that.
Cepeda and what's the name? And it should be. It should be, but nobody knows who these guys are because they don't have that big name. Now I bet you if Cepeda and Baratek, I bet you if they had a status of Canelo and Triple G, oh, most definitely, hands down, that would be looked at as a classic.
Yeah, because people would call Canelo Triple G a classic.
Yeah, I thought that was a classic because
I
of
don't think
status.
that's a classic, bro.
Well, because
it's
of
not.
status. Because of status. Because very rare you see two of the top guys fighting.
Nowadays,
Hey,
that's
dude.
rare, but I'm
Yeah.
not
You
calling
see
that
two of
shit
the
a
top guys
classic.
fight each other, and on top of that, it was competitive. It was so competitive. Rather than you see like Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, to where it's like, bro, this shit ain't even.
That's what I wanted to say. Is it possible to have a clean, like a non-super aggressive, two outside fighters, and then it be a classic with that style? Is it possible to call those type of fights a classic when it's somebody like literally picking their shots? Like, because I never heard that term used in a fight where both fighters are winning rounds, but like one ends up edging it out, but they're not like fucking phone boothing it. Like what's a
Well, yeah,
good?
Andre Ward and Kovalev. That's a classic.
Yeah, that's the second.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that first
personally
fight.
thought it was a classic, but
The
I
first-
don't think other people call that a classic. And plus, Andre Ward started to get in and get dirty at the end. So,
Well, I don't get how who wouldn't call that a classic. That was definitely a classic.
okay. Do you think Vladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua was a classic?
Yeah.
I think that was. Here's the only reason I could see a person saying Ward and Kovalev wasn't the classic. That fight was a classic to me. But here's two fights that was really good. That like Sean Porter and Keith Thurman was a really good fight.
That's a
I,
classic too.
I could see a person saying, like, I'm gonna tell you what it is to me. Those fights are so intense, and because you know it's two elite level fighters, you into it. I'll say this. I do feel if Thurman and Sean Porter was like two random fighters, it wouldn't get that type of love.
Well, that's why it was so intriguing on what Ruger said, because when I had to think back at it, it does make sense to where you have to have a name. Victor Ortiz and Andre Berto, that first fight, bro,
That
was
was
a
a really good
classic.
fight.
That was a classic. Definitely a classic, one of the best fights ever. And to be
Because
honest with you, because
another
of,
fight
it's
where
because of the status.
they were dropping each other. Well, I wasn't gonna say one person was getting dropped. Gabriel Rosado versus Peter Quillen. Peter Quillen was dropping Rosado and he cut him, and then Rosado started to jump on Peter Quillen towards the end of the fight, and he
Yeah, but
almost
that
edged
wasn't
it
real
out.
classic because it wasn't really competitive on
It
that level.
was,
No, it wasn't. Like Peter Quillen,
bro. He literally
Peter,
lost because of a cut. If he would have
bro,
won the next two rounds, he would have
no.
won.
What I'm saying is, Gabe Rosado was actually like losing the majority of the rounds. He just came back and did good. That's kind of like Zab Judah and Danny Garcia. He just came back and started to like show his heart and start to fight. But no one would sit there and say that, oh yeah, that was basically like a classic. Because if that's the case, Peter Quillen versus Isam Endon. Peter Quillen dropped him like 9 times.
Yeah, but Indom was fighting on the outside, and it looked like Peter Quillen couldn't even
And,
get in for
and,
most of the
and,
fight.
and Endon honestly was winning. I
Yeah, he
thought he was
was
winning.
winning until them 4 knockdowns.
He was winning every round. It's just he got knocked down in every round.
Yeah, he
That's all I wanted to
definitely
say.
got Deontay Wilder.
What about Kurt
Wilder and
Scheib versus
Ortiz, is that a
Indom?
classic?
Wilder
No, not at
Ortiz.
all.
Wilder and Ortiz wasn't a classic the first time?
No.
Nah, because it ended so sudden. I don't. That's when it ends super sudden, unless like they were going back and forth and somebody just got knocked out
That's what
cold.
you
Kind of
call
like
a really good fight, though.
that's a good fight.
Oh wow.
Like who got knocked out? Like how Deontay Wilder versus Fury, like and then Fury just knocked him out cold. Like it was back and forth for a lot of those rounds. So if you want to call it a classic, yeah, that's a classic. But when somebody's just getting their ass beat and they just sleep somebody, like I don't want to. That's a classic.
I mean, I don't get how you don't think that's a classic because there's a lot of fights where
I'll give you
somebody's just
knockout of
getting
the
their
year.
ass
I
beat.
ain't calling it no classic.
Okay, let me ask you this: Nonito Donaire versus Brigham Down. That's not a classic.
Absolutely
That's
not.
what I was asking. I wanted to see if somebody can like I would say that's a
Wow.
great performance for Rigondeaux.
I don't see how
But
that's a classic because it's like
it's
it
a
was
classic performance from Rigondeaux. That's what I would
like
call
yeah,
that.
like
But in
yeah,
terms
like
of
yeah.
the
So
fight,
that's what I'm
it's not
saying.
a
But it's still a no. I guess we have to differentiate what classic fight because you would think a classic fight is a Marquez and
I think
Pacquiao
classic
like
fight is
back and forth
even. It's
Pacquiao and
spitting at each
close.
other.
Marquez is a classic.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
close
that's an
fights.
action packed classic. The what's the name was a classic performance where it was just like that's still a classical fight. Andre Ward is the same. That was an award. It was just a classical performance.
That's what I was trying to differentiate because to me, I think a classic fight is something that's a close fight throughout the whole fight, as long as it lasts. And then I think there's classic performances where it's like, man, that motherfucker schooled the shit out of him. Or, oh shit, bro, that nigga beat the shit. He knocked his ass out. It was a good fight and he just slept him. And then, or oh, he dominated him. Those are classic performances, like Earl Spence versus Badu, Bundu. Like he
Oh
put
hell,
that nigga to sleep. I would put that on
that's a
Earl Spence
classic.
classic performance list because he slept him, bruh. He was in a coma damn near. And then that's why I wanted to ask with the Ward, like
But to be
would you
fair,
call
Bundu was
like fighting on
45
the
years old.
outside back and forth classic
He slept the
performances?
grind. He slept the grandpa. Nigga was 45 years old.
Shit, bro, they still be showing fucking Earl Canelo knocking out James Kirkland, bro. I don't give a
But
fuck,
James
bro.
Kirkland was Canelo age. He just got
What
raped
the
by Ann Wolf. So he
bro?
was young.
James Kirkland is not Canelo's age, bro.
Yes, he is. They're around the same
Hell
age.
no. Fuck no.
They're around the same age.
James Kirkland, let's look it up, bro. That motherfucker
He's
is
not old. He's not old at
37
all.
years old.
No, he wasn't.
He's 37 years old, bro.
Nah, when he fought Canelo like 10 years ago.
That
So
was
he was
like 4 or 5
super
years ago, right?
bro, that
4
was
years
10
ago, he
Way
was
years.
longer than
33,
4 or
bro.
5 years ago.
That was definitely 10 years ago, bro.
What?
Did
Bro, 10
Canelo
years
did
ago. Nigga, I'm
Canelo
getting
even lose to
old.
Floyd?
Yeah, Canelo had. Did he lose the
Bro, it's
Floyd yet?
2015. It's 5 years ago.
That's 7
May
years
9th,
ago.
2015. Oh,
That's
6 years
definitely
ago.
that's 7 years ago,
Shoot,
bro.
I didn't know the fight
6
was
years
that
ago.
recent.
Damn, y'all talking like it was 10 years ago,
I thought
bro.
it
It's
was
6
10
years
years
ago.
ago.
I ain't gonna lie, I thought that joint was like 90 years ago.
That's what I would call a classic performance by Canelo, but I'm not gonna
That
call
wasn't
that a
even a
That's
classic
classic
no,
fight.
performance.
that's
Bro.
what you call a signature performance.
That's what you call a
Yeah,
sensational
classic
knockout.
performance,
Yeah,
signature
yeah,
performance.
yeah,
Okay, so
signature performance.
Juan Diaz versus Marquez. What's that? Is that a classical fight or is that a classical performance?
I
Also,
haven't seen
it
that
could
fight in
be
a long time.
it could be
So
both. Um, I'll say this: that's what you call just probably a really good fight. I think it was an
Bro,
excellent
that's
fight.
a classic. That's not a fucking classical fight to y'all.
I
I
think it
think
was.
a class.
Juan Diaz is
I
one of my
think
favorite
Eric
fighters
Morales
ever as far as
Barrera is definitely a
that's
classic
like
in the
a
classic.
classic.
All right, Prince Nassim versus Barrera. That's not a classical
No, it's
performance.
not.
Nah, that was a
It's a
classic
memorable fight.
performance.
A memorable fight.
He got knocked out too easily, bro.
He didn't get knocked out.
Got his ass whooped. He got his ass whooped, bro.
He really didn't, bro. He lost.
Like I don't call Broner Maidana a classic fight, bro. Like that's just a classic performance by Maidana. Because at no point did I feel like Broner could win this fight.
Really?
I didn't believe he could win that fight. At no before
Really?
the fight, I thought he could win. I thought he had a chance, but after I thought, oh shit! After he got knocked down,
because he lost. What the? Does that make sense?
No, I'm talking about after he got knocked down. Did you hear me talking? Nigga, I didn't finish.
Oh.
He got knocked down. I said it's over, bro. Like he was tagging him and he couldn't do nothing with him.
He got knocked down and then walked him down the whole fight. How can you ever say it's over?
Bro, he got dropped again. And no, he wasn't walking him down the whole fight. It was in the center of the ring. It was in the center of the ring, bro.
Bro, Adrian Broner walked him down the whole fight.
Bro, it was in the center of the fucking ring, bro.
Touching his ass.
So why did he lose, bro? One knockdown.
Because the knockdown.
So, 2 knockdowns ain't gonna win you the whole fight.
Yeah, hell yeah. Because he won rounds, obviously.
Yeah, I thought Broner won like 3 or 4 rounds.
Nah, hell no. Broner won more rounds than that.
Oh yeah, you tripping.
You tripping if you don't think Broner won more rounds than that, bro.
Broner, Malky, how many rounds do you think Broner won that McDonald fight?
I actually thought he won a lot of rounds. He lost the first half. Well, after he got dropped, I felt like from rounds 4 through 8, I gave the AB. Almost to the point if Adrian Broner didn't get knocked down the way the fight was going, I thought he would have beat Madonna.
So you gave him more than 4 rounds.
Yeah, I gave him more than. I gave AB at least. I'm gonna have to really watch that fight again. To really.
That fight was really competitive.
Yeah, it really was. It wasn't like how you said.
What about Matisse Provodnikov? Do y'all think that's a classic?
Who?
Matisse Provodnikov? Nah, that's a really good fight. That's not a classic.
Bruh, them niggas was banging.
Probably not.
Nah, it should have been more.
Whatever.
It was expected to be because even when Brandon Rios fought Mike Alvarado, that wasn't even really like a classic.
Why you using that? Why you using that?
So you said Brandon Rios versus Alvarado not a classic, and Matisse.
Nah, because I was expecting them to like beat the dog shit out of each other. Alvarado was fighting kind of like a pussy.
You talking about the third fight, huh?
Nah, I'm talking about all fights. Like even the first fight, they weren't really dogging like how I expected. Brandon Rios came with the intentions on, bro, I'm about to try to dog you. But Mike Alvarado just he came with a game plan. But that fight was advertised as, hey, no defense. They both about to just beat the shit out of each other. And it wasn't like that.
I don't know what you was watching, nigga. I'm watching niggas.
They wasn't beating the shit out of each other like that, bro.
That fight wasn't that historic.
But I feel like Provodnikov Matisse was way more brutal than that shit.
More brutal than who?
Brandon Rios, Alvarado.
I enjoy Alvarado and Rios probably more.
Yeah, even the Matisse Provodnikov fight, it didn't strike me because Matisse fought with more of a game.
Yeah, nigga, that motherfucker Provodnikov is a tank, bruh.
That's what I'm saying, but Matisse was supposed to be a tank, and it's like you got out tanked.
Hell no, we ain't never called him.
Hey, I don't remember who won. Who won this fight?
Matisse won.
What did he win by? Matisse.
He won by like 1 point or 2, or it was a split decision.
Okay, I kind of do remember now. He barely won. Mm-mm.
Bruh, them niggas was fucking each other up, bruh.
If
Y'all don't remember
Provodnikov
that?
actually learned, like if he went with Cheapo, Reynoso, and Canelo camp, he would have been talented because his defense, the youngin
Nigga, with the
Provodnikov
juice?
actually, yeah,
Whoa! You cooking with gas
youngin said
now.
with the juice. Nah,
That
Provodnikov,
nigga would have
believe
been
it or
knocking
not,
heads off
actually,
shoulders.
Provodnikov actually did a lot of stuff right. He just kept getting his defense was so poor. But he wasn't the Brandon Rios type of guy. Like his punch selection was good. His defense was just ridiculously poor.
But yeah, you had to fight defensive. I don't know nobody that fought aggressive versus that nigga other than Tim Bradley. He got dropped. Then Tim Bradley learned like real quick, nigga. You gonna have to back up, bro.
Yeah, Tim Bradley
Ain't
one of the most
nobody out.
underrated fighters ever.
Ain't
That's a
nobody out
classic.
aggressive for
So
Vonderpool.
what?
That's a classic. Bradley and Provodnikov.
That's one of the best fights I ever
How do you
watched.
think that's a classic, but not Matisse?
Cause I don't think Matisse and Provodnikov ain't had that much action. Like
What?
remember,
Y'all niggas is tripping.
remember
Go
a
watch
lot
that
of
fight.
people.
Please go watch that fight.
Remember, like just like it wasn't like the Molina fight didn't live up to its expectations with Provodnikov.
Molina knew better. He seen what the fuck was happening to everybody else. He said, "Fuck that."
I don't
Molina
remember
know
they
he ain't no
fought. They
puncher
fought.
like that.
You remember
Nigga,
John Molina
Molina
put
turned.
on that
Hey,
performance we used
Molina
to
turned
always
into
talk about?
motherfucking Pernell Whitaker.
Remember we
Oh
used
yeah. Oh my
that's the
god.
nastiest display of boxing we ever seen, and that is not a compliment.
Between him and Mike Alvarado, yeah, bro.
No, John Molina boxing versus Provodnikov. Remember he was jabbing and trying to use angles.
I remember.
That
I
stuff
remember.
was crazy.
Joe Goosen was talking about. I always knew he had this in him. Like he's one of the best boxers I've worked with. I remember.
Yeah, and that got him a Danny Garcia or whatchamacallit, Adrian Broner fight.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that just kind of shows what boxing is at as a whole. Like it's just reaching a space.
All right, I wanted to get done early today, so last topic. Gary Russell, little brother,
Twan,
Antoine, pretty much talking shit about Devin Haney. Said, "Stop the talk. Coming to 140, I will beat your ass." We're speaking on my brother.
Right. I
How you
like it.
feel about that, Prince?
I like it. Defend your brother.
And
as a
Bill Haney. Oh, go ahead, Malcolm.
as a big fan of both guys, I don't personally like this match for Devin Haney. I watched a lot of Gary Antoine Russell in the amateurs. Now, while his big brother is more critically acclaimed for his accolades, Little Bro fought the master boxers and he sparred all the master boxers from Jerron Ennis to Richardson Hitchens. And these are guys he fought three times apiece, and not just those two. Like he fought all the outside boxers. Him and Shakur been sparring the last 6 years. Um, he's really, really aggressive. He got the pedigree. I don't really like that match. This is the true definition of high risk, no reward. This not even low reward. This is no reward. Good fight though, but no.
Who
I
beat
don't think it's a good fight. I think
You said you
Twan
think
beats the
what?
Devin Haney
shit.
now?
I think
Yeah, that's
Twan
a
beats the
bad
shit
fight for
out of him.
Haney. You said what? You said
I
Ruger?
said I think Twan beats the shit out of Haney. I don't think it's a good fight at all.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
like that
Haney
fight.
should
I'm
just
not.
focus on trying to fight the guys that ain't fighting him. Like, what do you say about that, Prince? Because this is the same thing happening with Demetrius Andrade, where it's the guys just aren't fighting him, and they in the same weight class. He got a belt, Now they're trying to diminish the value of his belt, just like they did with Andrade. It's literally we see this shit happen so much in the current state of boxing. It's like they're not respecting the WBO belt, but Devin Haney got the WBC. Now they're not respecting it because the WBC created a fucking franchise belt.
Yeah, boxing is just, I think, is at a sad place.
It's too many people involved. That's what it is. Too many parties are involved. Too many people can come up with sanctioning belts and organizations and all that shit.
Yeah, and then now you got the fighters. They'll tell you, I don't value this organization or belt. Like fighters, this belt organization been hating on me, or this fighter they like a particular race. I mean, this belt organization they get a particular fighter that they like, and they basically ride their coattail. Like the franchise belt is one of the most disrespectful creations ever introduced to boxing.
Why do you feel that way?
Because I felt like because Top Rank had no plans on making not Loma, but because they had no intentions on making him fight Devin Haney because Haney was the mandatory, they just basically like, man, look, you can ready fight Teofimo Lopez. What we're gonna do to speed this up is we just gonna give him the belt and we're gonna give you franchise belt. And when you fight Teofimo, it's just gonna be undisputed. Like I thought that was kind of code and to cover it up so it ain't look like we just doing this for Loma. They offer Wilder, Canelo, and then other weight classes belts. I'm like, that stuff crazy. Especially when they verbalized out their own mouth. This is more of a trophy. This won't count towards undisputed or anything.
They verbalize that at their own mouth.
Yeah,
They
that's what they
verbalized
said
it. They called it a trophy. They called it a trophy, and
Hey, go
now
ahead, Ruger. Go ahead.
it's a
What you
belt.
explain that? What you mean? I didn't know they verbalized that through their own mouth.
They
They
it was a
basically
conference
said
call.
it's a trophy. The way it works is kind of like a an interim belt for the champion. Say for instance, the
No, but the
champion.
Muhammad Ali trophy, that's a trophy.
They
Yeah,
called
but
this a trophy,
what
and they turned
they
it to a
said
belt.
this is like a good thing. So if the champion holds another belt, the other champion could keep fighting. The real champion could keep fighting, and then whenever the super champion, I mean, whenever the franchise champion wants to fight the super champion, they can whenever they want. They trump the mandatory.
Yeah,
So like basically, it held them at the number one spot in that ranking, as long as they held the franchise belt. So they could pretty much go after the champion whenever they want.
yeah. It's like they got a king piece in checkers. Like they got it, like control of the game. That's how this was. Like if Devin Haney would have won the belt by Loma being the franchise champ, or if anybody random ended up with a belt, unless it's a rematch clause, there's no options other than you gotta fight Lomachenko. That's how that's supposed to work. But instead, it's just like, nah, we got like they had basically an agenda in mind. Now they don't want to keep it up no more. They didn't feel happy about T.O. having the belt, and they really don't feel good about Cambosos being their champ.
Wilson was using it to pretty much come and I don't think he's gonna value that belt like Tiafimo kind of was. So I think he already stated like he's wagering where he might fight anybody. And one thing I realized these sanctioning bodies do not want undisputed because what usually happens with most undisputed they drop all but one or two belts. So they're thinking like, well, we're not gonna get our fees if somebody become undisputed. We're gonna have to give the bill out to somebody else, put on another fight, and then convince these fighters to fight for this belt. And then only two belts that could really do that is the IBF and the WBC or the WBA. They can do it, but it's not like they usually don't have people in their rankings. If you go look at the WBA rankings, A lot of people don't really go for that belt.
No, they don't.
I like the WBA.
Oh,
They
you
saying
do?
one of the least controversial. Well, actually,
Nah,
they are
hell
very
no.
They actually the second worst organization. I was thinking of the IBF. They are the
IBF
least
to me is the best so
controversial.
far, but
Yeah,
I
they're
looked
the
up the
least
scandal.
controversial.
I spoke on that on an older video.
Yeah, WBA is horrible. They are right behind the WBC. WBO have as much favoritism as the WBC, but the
WBO just
WBA,
that's the Bob Arum belt.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's slowly going to the other side because Bob Arum, as you can tell, he's not really doing his job. He's not even
yeah,
promoting fighters
his
like that no more.
faculties isn't what they once was.
So yeah. If you had to pick a belt to be champion, where would you rather be, Prince?
IBF,
WBC.
You said what?
IBF,
IBF? Yeah. It seemed like more of the international belt too.
because
I feel like whoever
you
got
can
that belt
you can
fight the
hold the
most
belt.
bums.
Yeah, you can hold that IBF belt, and for a while, without them making you fight like some actual comp, WBC and stuff. I mean, WBC too, they just make a whole nother belt. Be like, hey, you want to fight Devin Haney? Nah. All right, I'll tell you what. You can fight Ivan Redcast for a WBC Platinum belt.
Man, that stuff be crazy. They keep be making these belts up. Like, I don't like that. It's too because it's like being the world champion. The way boxing is starting to go, it's becoming not really an accomplishment now at this stage because it's like we watching so many guys accumulate a 16-0 record, and it'll be like this is Shabazz like Abba Main, and then he fight for a belt, and it's like, bro, who is this guy? And then he'll fight somebody random who a prospect who supposed to be the future of boxing, and then it'll be a disaster matchup, and then they fight bums. We've been watching this the last 5 years. We don't even have reigning champs for more than 2 years, other than the obvious names or name.
Yeah, that's kind of
Is
whack.
that a major concern for you, Mikey?
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, no. Like we understand boxing is a business and it's brand as such. Like that stuff look good. While we might criticize Tank and we might say, bro, he didn't beat nobody for this belt. They put him number one, and then they randomly had a guy who was ranked eight, and they made him the number one contender, and he fought Tank. Like we may know some of that or know he's constantly challenges for vacant belts, but that stuff look good for casuals. All they need to hear is world champion. They're not analyzing how we do as fans. Once
But
they
we
hear world
know,
champ,
yeah,
they like
all the diehards know Tank is only a one division champion, bro.
exactly. Like we are beating guys at different weights for higher belts. I don't think boxing should be like that. You shouldn't have the luxury of not fighting multiple top guys. Like put it like this: if Tank career goes like this, he's gonna end up breaking a lot of Floyd and Manny Pacquiao records because he's already what a four-time champion or three-time champion in three weight
Bro,
classes.
he's a two-time champion in one weight class, and that's
I
it,
know,
bro.
but I'm saying he's labeled as a three-time champion in three weight classes.
Nah, bro, he ain't a three-time champion in three weight classes.
He is a three-time champion.
What belts did he win, Prince? Since you know,
He lost the belt on the scale on purpose, regained that belt his next
that's what
fight,
made him two-time.
and then he fought Barrios for a portion of the WBA junior welterweight
No,
belt.
that wasn't. how can he win a belt and Josh Taylor undisputed? He ain't got no fucking belt,
You know
bro.
the WBA
That's true.
got
That's true. But we know that though, Malky. We know the WBA. We know these organizations be making these fake belts, but Josh Taylor got all the belts. So I
no
mean,
no no no
Like
no
you
I,
can't
belt.
be the
no
champ and Josh Taylor got every belt,
no
man.
no I agree. That's the point I was making. How boxing whack. I'm saying he's not really the champ, but I'm saying statistically it's like son Cambosos. He's not actually
Yeah,
undisputed,
and
but
we gotta.
he's
It's up
on
to the
But
undisputed.
people
all right,
that know
explain to me
to
why
not
isn't explain to me why isn't Cambosa undisputed?
The same reason
because that.
T.O. wasn't undisputed, because Devin Haney has the WBC belt. They fighting
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the trophy,
but Loma had the WBC belt, didn't he?
but it got
but
no.
yeah,
He it got milled to
he
Devin
dropped it.
Haney.
He dropped
Yeah,
it.
he they dropped it. It
Mm.
got milled to Devin Haney. He took position as the franchise champion. To make that fight bigger, they figured, bro, if we got 3 belts, it makes no sense to just make this a unification. To add that spice to it, you do got a WBC trophy. F it, we can already change the meaning of this, and then now in this fight for undisputed. So none of them were undisputed. Devin Haney has the real last belt. Regardless of how he got it, whether it was an email or not,
It came down
he
to Lomachenko fight this nigga or drop the belt. That's what it came down to,
basically,
and the nigga
which
didn't
he
want to fight,
wasn't
bro.
ducking. He wasn't ducking. It was Bob Arum had no intentions because he said it time after time. Devin
And
Haney's a
that's
born fighter. We want nothing to do with him. Like so,
yeah, and that's on him because that's his promoter. He should have told him, well, I don't want to drop my belt. Now he
so
out here
that's
looking
why he's
stupid. He sued Bob Aaron for that shit. He got him out here looking dumb.
because it's called undisputed. Yet all of these guys winning is we all think is disputed. So that's that. But he's technically, I guess he's technically undisputed. But even every blogger don't view him as undisputed. Haney got the last belt, bro.
So is
So
anything
somebody
y'all
was
want to get?
can somebody be undisputed?
Niggas
But
corny. Y'all wanted to say anything before in the stream? Didn't want to go too long. We covered all the topics so far. An hour.
mm-hmm.
Uh, Go
It's
ahead,
your boy
Marty.
Malky Pablo. Hit the subscribe button. Check out the boy Ruger doing his thing. We out.
All right, what about you, Prince? Anything you want to say?
Prince Aladdin. Make sure you follow me on IG, Pharaoh _ Prince Aladdin. Make sure you also check out the Goats and Goof podcast where we
I'm
have
gonna
three goats.
start putting a link on there. You're gonna have to send me the YouTube channel and put the link in the description and put it on the captions
Yeah,
too.
make sure
So,
you check out that. That's the best podcast you guys will ever hear.
all right, that's the end of this. Next week we're gonna talk about there's UFC fights coming up. Man, real big. It's one of those fight night cards. Nobody really good main event.
Justin Gaethje. Didn't you just say I just found out he fighting?
That's I think 2 weeks from now.
Wow, that's only 2 weeks from now. That's another thing about the MMA, bro. They fight. Charles Oliveira just fought like last month.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah,
that.
but he went so quick and so dominant.
It was not
I don't know.
dominant.
They fight in May.
Oh, if I may.
They probably gonna do the press conference in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, because that was a I like that. That's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, it's a top competitor fight. Yeah, we all like that, right? Kind
All right,
of.
I guess we can talk about that another time. Up to you,
Yeah.
Ruger.
All right.
Respect, brother.
Everybody have a
All
good night. Bye bye.
right.
All right.
Ooh,